Hey, this is Corin Nemec. You might know me as Jonas from Stargate SG-1, or perhaps Parker Lewis from Parker Lewis Can't Lose, and you'll definitely know me as Rottentail in the upcoming film. And you are listening to the MacGyver Podcast. I'm eating a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Richard Dean Anderson.
Name's MacGyver.
Colonel Jack O'Neill, SG-1.
My name is Pratt. Ernest Pratt.
I always get a happy, tingly feeling when I see those guys.
Name one contract that I failed to execute.
MacGyver.
Oh, here we go.
You're a target. And I don't intend to miss.
Over my rotting corpse. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Glowing eyes, cliche behavior, evilness, that kind of thing.
Is mental illness contagious?
You think?
You can do anything you want to do if you put your mind.
Well, you do have a penchant for pulling brilliant ideas out of your butt. Head. Out of your head when we need them. Oh, the stuff's already here. I just find a different way to use it.
I like your attitude.
Permission to take a team through the Stargate, sir.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the MacGyver Podcast. I'm your host, Mac Jackson, and with me is Corin Nemec, who I've been dying to get on for quite some time. But fortunately, you've been a busy actor, so I...
Yes, fortunately.
Right?
For that.
So how are you?
I'm good. Very good. Thanks.
I've seen you be very busy with Rottentail, which it's just premiering today, is it?
Well, it premiered in terms of theaters. It had a really cool release in a bunch of art house theaters and some cinema and draft house theaters across the U.S. in different towns. And it's still out in those theaters, but then obviously we're going to different online platforms. Amazon Prime Video is one of the big ones, and then we have a bunch of other ones as well. I just don't know them. I don't know them all right offhand. But if you go to my Twitter, I am Corin Nemec. The letter I and the letter M and my name, Corin Nemec, or you can go to Rottentail, the film, or RottentailTheMovie.com and find out all the information you want. But yeah, Rottentail's very funny. It's a awesome horror comedy, and I really think that it's gonna hit hard because we put our heart and soul into it and did it for under $300,000 in 16 days.
Wow.
And a third of the budget went to the prosthetics. So you can imagine the financial constraints and the time constraints we were on. So, I think that Brian Skiba, the director, just, he just came through with flying colors. I mean, the guy just, he did an amazing job. And Source Point Press had a really, really great graphic novel that's been a cult hit since the late 90s when they first released it. So, Rottentail, the graphic novel by Source Point Press, was the perfect blueprint for a movie about a half man, half rabbit, and making sense of that, where you actually believe it could be true.
Well, it's funny.
Within reason.
Yeah. Well, I've been for years, been following you, and you're very good about responding to people, and also very good about pushing and promoting the right type of stuff. And I remember when you went and I guess we're filming it and even just like doing the dress rehearsal or, prosthetics for it.
Sure.
And I'll tell you, you're right. I don't know anything about it, but I did see you right away in the mask, and just that alone, it's amazing to see. It doesn't look like you only did it with a budget. You know what I mean? It looks like somebody's camera shy.
I'm just saying. I know all that. I know. I'm in the middle of an interview.
It's okay. It's all right. You're fine. So anyway, yeah, you can't tell that it was done on such a small budget.
No, I think that's why I was saying that our director, he really did a great job, and the producer we had on, the team that we were able to pull together, everybody just did really, really awesome in their different departments under the constraints that we were under. And then one of our main sets, which is the church set that a lot of it takes place in. It was built in kind of a floodplain area out there in the desert, without us really knowing, because you don't get really a lot of torrential rains out there. But for some reason, it decided to rain like biblical times, and it literally washed the entire set away, and they had to rebuild it in a few days. And it was really, really tough. It was very hard on the production designer because we couldn't go over any days, and he had to just slap together whatever he possibly could and get it looking as decent as possible. And then, with his work, and then with the director, and then also with Patrice, who is our cinematographer, he did an amazing job using lighting to, disguise and hide different imperfections that you might, see if it was overly lit.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was talking to somebody, and we were saying that, you can really tell when a show or movie really everybody's on the same page, and it doesn't matter about the money per se. It's a matter of the passion. And if everybody is trying and giving it their all, it's flawless.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we certainly have some faults. I just ate a Kit Kat too, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I got I got my little candy stash here
from Easter. Oh, wow. Oh, see,
that's just my little stash that I keep, and then I gotta have the ice cream sandwiches. That's very important.
We're birds of a feather, because I take my, like the Linder balls, the chocolate, where it's the softer chocolate. Yeah. You put them in the refrigerator door, and it changes it to where it breaks apart in such a wonderful way.
Right? Yeah, I put all my chocolates in the freezer.
It's like with the Snickers. It'll change the consistency of the nougat, so it doesn't even taste like a typical Snickers.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I know.
Love that.
That's why when I tweeted that you were going to be on, I'm like, I'm sure we're going to talk about snacks, because every time you throw something up about food, I'm like, yes, I'm with you. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
And you're in Texas?
Yeah, that's where I permanently reside. This is where my house is.
That's nice. How long do you live there?
Gosh, well, on and off since around 2003, and then moved back down here for myself around 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
That's when I bought the house I'm at now.
I've seen some of the pictures that you post. I'm like, oh, that's a nice. I didn't know it was Houston, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm outside of Houston. I'm about an hour outside of the city, which is nice.
That's like me whenever I have to tell people where I live. It's close enough to Scranton that I'll just say that instead of trying to say Dixon City, because nobody knows where that is.
Yeah.
You go with the place where the office was. Yes, exactly, that place.
Exactly.
It's funny. I was thinking about knowing that you were coming on. I was thinking, boy, when did I first know of you? And it wasn't Parker Lewis. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I first saw you on a Webster.
Oh, well, I did stuff earlier than that, but yes, Webster was. I did the last season of Webster. I was Nicky Papadopoulos. I was Webster's live-in cousin for a year while my family was in Africa teaching some natives how to grow potatoes. That was the storyline.
Sure.
So my parents left, and I didn't want to go, so they let me move in with. Mam and George let me move in with Webster. Emmanuel Lewis. So we shared a room and everything. Oops, sorry. Dropped my phone. Okay. We shared a room and everything. It was quite hilarious.
Yeah, well, it's weird because I remember when Parker Lewis came on, I'm like, oh, I know him. I think a lot of the world really, really learned of you from that because that was, your starring role. But I'm like, no, I already know him.
Well, I did. The thing that really, I think, really put me on the map as far as that goes was the mini series. I Know My First Name is Steven, that I did in the around 1986, 87, maybe 87. It might have been 88 or whatever. But I got nominated for an Emmy for that performance when I was 15. So it was, that was really when suddenly I was getting looked at and taken very seriously in the the world of television mostly. And then I also did quite a number of cool roles in different films and stuff. So it's been a hustle. I'll tell you that. It's a hustle. But I think one of the things that kept me really going a lot and being able to continue working as, coming out of like that sort of weird 80s, early 90s child star hangover that people have. Sure. When they kind of jumble up all of the actors of that day and age into this weird, box of memorabilia, and so, but I always kept just auditioning and I remained in acting classes all throughout the time period from when I was 12 years old all the way up until I was in my late 30s. I was in different workshops and acting classes and that kept me grounded for sure. And then on top of that, I just, learned that I really had to put any ego aside about any past success and always be willing to audition for whatever show is coming up, whatever it is, whether it be an indie film or a guest spot on TV or, whatever the case may be, and continue working, because if ego gets involved, then it's always going to backfire at some point, So continuing to audition and being willing to do that at times when I had a level of success where, I could have easily said, oh, they should just offer me that part. But you know what? I might not be right for it. Who knows? They, whatever. So yeah. I always was willing to, to just continue auditioning, and that's definitely helped me traverse a lot of that time period that many other actors of my generation just weren't able to navigate through.
Yeah, honest to God, there's a lot of kid actors that you go, oh, I wonder what they're doing now. And then you kind of look at their work and you go, well, I could see why once they got older, if they weren't going to get better as an actor, okay, you know what I mean? They could fade away. But the ones such as yourself who, I'm telling you honestly, always impressed me. I just felt like you're natural. And okay, here's an example. I watched a Supernatural that you were on before now I didn't watch Supernatural, but I saw that you were on. So I'm like, oh, Corin's going to be, all right, I'm going to watch this. And I didn't know anything else about it. But because of your likability, I'm like, okay, I know he's going to be fun to watch.
Right.
And now my family and I are just getting in it. Granted, we're a little late. We're like 12 episodes.
Way late for Supernatural. My God. What are they on, 13 seasons or something?
15.
Oh, see, there you go.
And we're on the first season right now. We're like halfway through the first season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So we'll catch up to that episode with you in it, and I'll be like, that's the one I knew about.
Well, I think I'm in 5 or so episodes. I can't remember exactly how many I did, but the character, comes back a number of times. So
okay.
It's a fun little arc.
Yeah. Yeah, and honest to God, like you were saying, the hustle.
Yeah.
I used to act, and then I got to a point where I had to make a decision of, all right, are you going to be a singer? Are you going to be an actor? Because you could still do these other things, but you have to focus
for sure.
primarily on one thing, and the cattle calls and the auditions and, and I always think of yourself with, that's not Ernest.
No, that's Yeshua. That's Ernest is actually my daughter's dog.
Oh, okay.
But I kidnap him a lot of the times. He's actually coming in this weekend, so I'll be able to spend some time with him this weekend. So I like to kidnap him a lot,
and he'll get to ignore you.
Time. Yeah. And then, yes, he loves to ignore me. He's hilarious. He does it too when he's like out in the yard or something, and I'm trying to get him to come inside.
Yeah.
I'll holler out for him, and he'll literally just kind of like just keep sniffing wherever he's sniffing, and he just finally you'll have to walk out there, and then you go down, and when you stoop down to pick him up, he just kind of like lays sort of on his side a little bit, It's just,
Well, I was laughing
at carry him in half the time. He doesn't even come in when you're trying to get him to come in. He's a character.
And how old did you say he was? You told me once.
I just did about 5 or something like that, 5 or 6, so somewhere around there. Yeshua was about the same age. He's my son's dog. He's the black lab.
Yeah.
So
can't go wrong with the black lab. Right?
Sorry?
You can't go wrong with the black lab.
Oh no, Labradors in general are the best. But there's just something about Labradors that I've always loved. They have a really, really playful personality. They're really great family dogs, and they're just they're just I call them land seals. They're like for some reason they just remind me of a seal. They got the seal-like face.
Yep.
And and the way that their butts wiggle when they get all excited and they snake around you, It's really the black labs. The black labs are the land seals.
Yeah. I was cracking up a couple weeks ago when you were posting video after video of you going, Ernest. And just to watch the frustration in your face, I thought, I don't blame you.
He's hilarious.
Dog. Yeah. And he hears you. He's just like, I'm not going to give you the time of day.
Oh yeah, no. If I'm in the kitchen and like I'm pouring food into the bowl and he's all the way upstairs somewhere, he'll hear just the tiniest little tinkle, tinkle against the side of the bowl of the little nuggets.
Yeah.
And you hear his pitter patter coming all the way downstairs, and it's just so his hearing is very acute. He just chooses to ignore me. That's
fun. How is he with your daughter?
Oh, he's great, but he does the same thing. He does it with everybody.
Oh, okay.
That's just his personality. He's just like, he's almost like a cat that way. He's like a cat dog.
Yeah. Well, if you're lucky, you get a cat who's like a dog. That's okay.
Yeah, my only cats I like are the ones that like have like a glandular disorder and they're just gigantic and huge and they don't do a lot. They sort of sloth around the house a bit and let you pick them up all the time, and they're far too big for their bodies, but whatever. Those are like Garfield, basically.
Yeah, like it's exactly like Garfield. What was I going to tell you? Oh, how long was Parker Lewis on?
We did 78 episodes, but we did them in 3 seasons. So, we had some extended seasons. I think we did like 22 the first season, 26 the second season, and 28 the third season, or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we were only it might have been 88 episodes or something. We were a very short distance away from having enough episodes for syndication for what they like. I think the minimum is somewhere around like they want like as close to 100 as possible, really. And we were under it by like 10, 15 episodes or whatever. And so that's why it never really got syndicated like a lot of the other shows did. Right now, apparently, I've been told it's streaming on Hulu now, which I'm curious. Because these platforms didn't exist when we negotiated residuals back in the day. So I am curious if anything's going to come of this, or if they've somehow found some loophole in the contracts back then. They're like, oh, yeah, but this platform isn't mentioned in your contract, so we can play it all we want.
And we don't have to pay you anything. Neener.
I'm curious if that's the case. I would not be surprised at all if that was the case.
Well, I remember the big controversy when they took away the Parker Lewis can't lose and just changed it to Parker Lewis.
Well, that was after Rupert Murdoch bought Fox. So Rupert Murdoch bought Fox, and they were doing the negotiations and everything between I guess it would be, the second and third season. Mm-hmm. And so when that happened, it was they brought in all new executives. They got rid of all of the executives that championed our show and had originally signed us, and they were just looking at like the ratings between us and 90210, and they were like really wanting 90210 like those kind of numbers for our show. And so they just thought, well, we should change the show and make the show more like 90210. And that's really what happened. And it was just an absolute travesty because I mean, if they had just let us go and do our thing in season 3, then our numbers would have kept rising, because our numbers were always on a steady incline. So if they had just let us do 3 the way that we had done 1 and 2, it would have just kept growing and growing. And then we could have gone at least probably 5 or 6 seasons with that show, I think, back then, which is a long time. If you had a show on for 5 or 6 seasons back in the day, that was like forever.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember like
shows go like 8, 10 seasons. That was like a miracle, Yeah. It's like any kind of soap opera. So, the series nowadays, it's incredible how long some of them go. Just the shelf life is just, it goes beyond 10 years, and that was unheard of, And so if it's like, there's a number of actors that I've known over the years that they're, they'll have a show, they'll be on it for 5 or 6 years, and they're like, oh, they think they believe their own media, and they're like, oh, I'm super famous, I want to go on and become a movie star, and they'll like, get themselves out of the contract, they leave the show, and nobody cares.
Right.
Damn it! So it's like, I always tell my friends, like, dude, if you get a series, you stay in that series until the wheels fall off.
You're good.
You ride that horse until it has to. Well, I won't say that. There's too many horse lovers out there. So you have to put it down. No,
I'm with you, because why would you give up a good thing? You're right. To watch. I mean, hey, I can only speak for myself. If I were lucky enough to even be a plant on a show, I'll stand in the corner for a season. Fine. I would never, I'd never leave, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Exactly.
See, that's smart. And you're right. I do remember the 3rd season, it did change. I didn't know that was the reason.
Yeah, it totally changed. And that was the reason. It was all because of the new people brought on when Rupert Murdoch bought Fox. So.
Yeah.
We'll see, because I guess now Disney is acquiring the Fox Television or something now, not the Fox News, but I think they're acquiring the Fox Television and all of that, maybe even Fox Studios, I don't know. I believe that they're acquiring the television side at least, which means, who knows what's going to happen. It could be really great. It could be really bad, but I don't think that Fox anymore has that kind of, renegade type of reputation anymore for the type of shows that it does and how it was willing to push the envelope. And I'm not sure if it's really, because I don't watch primetime television hardly at all anymore. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what kind of content they're coming out with. I just know that back when we first launched and all the other shows they had going on, it was like the Renegade Network,
Sure.
The network that wasn't afraid to push the envelope and say yes to shows that other people would have said no to,
Well, I know that Disney bought the movies too, because now they have all the Marvel characters back under the Disney property. So that's why, like, any show that was like a superhero, like The Gifted that was on Fox, that's done, because now it's going to be Disney and et cetera, et cetera. And that way they could start making movies with the X-Men in the Avengers. Ooh, that's nice. What is that?
Steaks, buddy. Making steaks. Me and the Seed.
What kind?
Oh, they're just regular, just thin, just kind of not a flank steak, but I like the thinner steaks, It's a nice kind of like the center part of a ribeye or something, But it's nice. I never pay attention to what it actually says, what cut it is. I just look at it and go, oh, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's meat. The meat will do.
Yeah, that's meat. I'll take
it. But yeah, I remember the thing with Parker Lewis, them saying, well, the reason we're changing the name is to show that Parker Lewis can lose. And I'm like, I don't really think that people complained before about.
Well, they proved it. They definitely proved it, didn't they?
They were right.
Yeah, they got their wish in the end. So, what to say about it?
Tell me about, like, I know what was it? The Stand came after that, correct?
The Stand, yes. The Stand was the next kind of big I mean, I always did. some type of TV movie or something in between each season. I did one with Rick Schroeder after season 1 that was called My Son Johnny, that was a big hit. And then I did another one after season 2 called For the Very First Time, which was a really, really big movie of the week. And it did tremendous numbers. And those are all dramas. So I try to keep doing dramatic roles in between the seasons of Parker Lewis, because I didn't want people to forget that I was nominated for an Emmy for a dramatic performance, and that I can do drama too. I'm not just this quirky dude on TV, doing the half-hour comedy thing. So and then after season 3, I did Life Force Experiment, which was a really early sci-fi original that was myself and why on earth is his name slipping my mind? Donald Sutherland.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
So I got to work with Donald Sutherland on that one. That was amazing.
Yeah, well,
sure. And then when I did The Stand, obviously, the cast on that was out of control.
Yeah.
And after not too far after The Stand, I still did some other smaller films, but then ended up doing Operation Dumbo Drop. I did Drop Zone first with Wesley Snipes, not too long after The Stand. And then after Drop Zone, went on to do Operation Dumbo Drop with Ray Liotta, Dennis Leary, Danny Glover. Comedy for Disney.
Yeah, speaking of which.
Yeah, so and then I'd always like whatever indie film was in between other jobs or anything else I could, whatever. I guest starred on every single kind of like cop drama you could imagine back in the day. YPD Blue and all the different CSIs and NCIS and this and that, and
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great, man. It's I'm very, very fortunate to still be in the game.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it proves it, because you're a hardworking son of a bee.
I don't shrug that off.
Right.
Sorry?
I say you're a hardworking son of a bee. I can tell you that much.
Well, I try to keep. I forgot. I left some taco shells in the oven from a long time ago. Oh well, those are no good anymore. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's a matter of being willing to work for far less than you would like to work for, and
sure.
To take those kind of shorts to just keep projects out there and to keep relevant, and to find, even if it's not a movie that is the most exciting movie to do, it's about taking the character and doing as much as you can with the character. Mm-hmm. And then I also, I've done some producing on a number of the smaller films I did, and that was a big deal, because it also helped with kind of bringing in different cast members and also working with different departments and really trying to get the best out of whatever the script is and whatever the budget is, to try and get the absolute best out of it that we can. Mm-hmm. And I think that's that's also been kind of a factor, because I've made some good relationships over the years with different producers and directors and stuff that I've worked with, and I've gotten a chance to work with them many times over, and so I think that's also a factor in it, is some decent relationships that I made, because when I was younger, I wasn't really, I didn't really make a lot of those kind of long-term relationships. I was too busy just hanging out with my buddies and doing bro stuff, Sure. And I think that probably factored in a little bit into, what kind of a grind it was. Because if I chose to just completely immerse myself into Hollywood and Hollywood relationships and the networking and all of that stuff, then I probably would have done a lot more. Even though I've done a lot, I probably would have done a lot more,
Sure.
But then the relationships that I do have, like with Brian Skiba, for instance, and then my buddy Stan Spry, who has a company called The Cartel. They do a whole bunch of TV movies and TV series and stuff, and these are guys that I've just been friends with for a good amount of time, and we just love working together. So we've done a lot of projects together. And then I did a bunch of these sci-fi movies with a company called UFO over in Bulgaria, and worked with them a bunch of times. And New Image, I did a number of films for them over in Bulgaria. So I worked in Bulgaria like 7 or 8 times during a certain time period of years, and it was great. I love it over there.
I was going to ask, how is it over there?
I love it. I mean, the food is fantastic. The people are great. They were, their currency was so kind of like wishy-washy, and it's sort of a mafia state that the euro was like, no, we'll take you in the euro, but we won't take your currency. So they still operate. They're in the European Union, but they operate with their own currency, the leva, which is far undervalued in comparison to the euro. So they get all the benefits of being in the European Union, but because their currency is worth so much less, it's made business there go through the roof, because people can go there now with euros, have all of the trade free, all the trade agreements and all that stuff in place, but be able to go down there and do business and stuff at a huge discount rate. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Well, that's a smart thing to do.
Going to a really, because like the food is great there. You go to a really nice dinner there, you know what I mean? And you order all this food, different drinks or whatever, and you get the bill, and you're like, oh gosh, that's like, that's like 160 leva or whatever. You're like, oh, wait a second, that's like $48. It's great.
Woohoo! Let's go around again.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Would you consider yourself a foodie?
Not really a foodie. I know some people are really like if I go to a certain country, if I'm traveling around, if I find like 1 or 2 restaurants that I'm really hot on, generally I'll just go to the same ones for the most part, like the whole time I'm there, because also it's like becoming familiar with a certain place, becoming familiar with some of the people there. It kind of makes it a little bit more, familiar, when traveling a lot. So, even if I go to, if I'm just out over in Europe for 5 or 6 days doing one of these conventions, I'll tend to go to like the same restaurant pretty much every night for dinner. Maybe 2 of them, but I'll like to go to the same one if I find a really good one. If it's not that great, then I won't go back to it. But if I find a really good one, it's like, oh, dude, I'll go every single night and just try something else on the menu,
Yeah, I'm with you. I do the same. Why explore if you're happy?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Tell me about the process of getting into Stargate SG-1.
Well, I mean, Stargate, honestly, it kind of came out of nowhere. I was at the MGM offices in West Los Angeles, and I was there auditioning for some completely different movie. I mean, it wasn't even an MGM project. It was just like some small film, and they were, I guess, renting a place to have auditions out of there. I don't know. It was like a very tiny film, and I was kind of going over my dialogue out in an outside area, getting ready for the audition, and the casting directors for Stargate passed by, and they knew me from earlier jobs and having auditioned for them and everything else. And just the conversation came up that morning they got a notification that they were replacing a character on Stargate, and that this character was, available. And they were like, maybe it's you. Maybe you can be the character. And I was like, well, I can definitely be the character. And so they sent information up to Richard Dean Anderson and all the guys, Brad Wright and Joe Malozzi and all the guys up there on the show, and sent them my demo reel and obviously my resume. And they were pretty familiar with who I was, and they were like, yeah, he'd be great. And we'll just see how it goes. In the last episode of season 5, when my character's introduced, they were like, that was kind of like they were going to decide if that episode went well, and I worked good with everybody, and it seemed like the right move, then they would bring me back on for season 6. So so the pressure was on when I was doing that one episode, but it went great, and I had a great time working with everybody, and they were kind enough to bring me back, even though the character was relatively short-lived, only being in 1 full season and then part of 7th season, and then basically disappearing. So that was kind of a drag, but I was so blessed to be able to play that role for the amount of time that I did. A character that people genuinely who are fans of Stargate have, for the most part, I've gotten nothing but great feedback about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that, and I've also gotten to travel all over the world doing these science fiction conventions and Comic Cons or whatever else, because of that show and because of Supernatural and over in Europe because of Parker Lewis, even because that was such a huge hit over there. But yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. The outcome of being on Stargate's been just incredible. It's done a huge amount.
Well, I'll tell you, you were in a tough spot because you were taking the place of a character who's been around since the movie, but you weren't taking his place. It's not like you were playing Darren number 2 on Bewitched. You were your own character.
Yeah. He chose to. He wanted to go on and do some other stuff, and then when they started my season and he was gone, they got a lot of people writing in wanting Daniel back, and Sci-Fi Channel wanted the original cast in the first place, and they couldn't negotiate. Something wasn't negotiating. I don't know what the deal was, but he didn't come back on for that. The season 6 going on Sci-Fi Channel from Showtime.
Yeah. And
then they figured it out and negotiated with him unbeknownst to me, and brought him back on for season 7, which is fine and great. Whatever is best for the show, is what I'm supportive of. So
sure.
It was incredible, what I did get to do, and the experience that I did have was just amazing,
But you know what? I'll tell you, and I know I'm sure you agree. I always felt like Daniel comes back. Okay, that's fine, but that doesn't mean Jonas has to leave. Jonas could have stayed on the base. I mean, okay, granted, even if you weren't in every episode, just to know that the character would have been available, say, like the research guy who stayed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tell you what. I mean, it might have been a consideration about having that many that top heavy of a show and budgetary constraints.
Sure.
I think that what they probably didn't realize is that if they had come back and offered me a third of what I was doing, the shows for in the first place, I would have still said yes.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah, because I mean, even if you're not in every episode, the fact that you could be would have been enough for, say, and I'm speaking as the audience, Jonas doesn't have to go back to his world, Kelowna there. He could stay on the base. Maybe we don't see him as an audience all the time. But when Michael Shanks wants to go off and do a movie, guess who's here? Hey, Jonas. Boom. And now you're, right? Sure. And that way it doesn't close any doors. Yeah. I mean, because I'm always looking for the loophole, because I take into consideration budget and, actors' time and blah, blah, blah. But sure. you always want to leave that door open, and then there have been episodes where they mention the planet that Jonas is from, and they go to it on certain, like Stargate universe and everything. I'm like, okay, good. Let's see Jonas. Bring Jonas out. Come on, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. And then you never see what's going on. Then my planet exploded or something in one of them.
Well, one of them, it got taken.
Oh, that was Jonas's planet. I'm like, I escaped through the Stargate, bitches.
Well, I think the way they said it was, the Ori ended up taking it over, which were the bad guys from season 9 and 10. Okay, so they take it over. Well, guess who's leading the rebellion? I bet you it's Jonas.
What I'm saying. Come on.
Yeah, right? I mean, God. I'll tell you this, too. Your character was, and this is why I'm saying you really were impressive, because...
Hey, Lucas? Yep. Lucas?
Yeah.
Hey, Lucas! Oh, he's got his head.
Try Ernest.
It's the exact same experience.
I know.
Hollering, but yes, all hungry now. Look at him. He's following me around. He's like, steak?
Hey, I can smell steak.
Oh yeah, he's losing his mind right there. I probably should have turned the light on. Sorry, it's gonna get dark here for a minute.
It's okay. I'll pretend I'm in a tunnel.
Hey, Lucas. Here, dinner. Wait, call for here. Just open the door. Let me give it to you.
See, that's nice.
Oh, I'll go through the other way.
Oh, can we get tickets
I thought. Oops, sorry, I'm doing an interview, but yeah, of course that was the plan. I just thought that your mom was getting those tickets, but I'm happy to get them. Oh, okay. All right, I'll get on that. You want me to get an extra one? Yeah, let me see what I can do. Love you too, bud.
Wow. That's sweet. I have a boy and a girl too.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. His sister's older and she's already doing her college thing, but yeah, he's 14 and
I know.
He's so fast. He grew up so fast, man.
I know. Well, they tell you, hey, cherish every moment, and I do. I make sure.
Yep.
Always tell them that you love them and hug and kiss and all that good stuff. What I was going to tell you was I love and this is a rarity.
It's about to be my Ocasio-Cortez moment here. I'm going to be like eating and talking to you, like live streaming us right now at the same time.
It's dinner with Andre.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, that's fine. Your Jonas was such a great character, and at no point did you feel like he was the replacement of anybody.
Right. Yeah, they did a great job. The writers did a great job bringing him into the fold in a very organic way and not just shoving the character down your throat. You know what I mean? I think
true. But also your handling of him. I'm rewatching them all the time, quite frankly. But but it's when you see it so many times, now you can step back and really be critical of performances and see how it matters over the whole arc. And I'll tell you, you really did such a great job of making him natural and likable and just someone who you rooted for. So that way, you're welcome. When you were gone, people for the rest of the series till today still feel that loss.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There was certainly a way that that I think that they could have kept up with that character if they had wanted to. But it's I'm not a producer on it and never was. So,
but you also don't know what the future will bring either. I mean, apparently they're working on, wisely. So the rumor is MGM is finally getting back to Stargate-ness. It
only makes sense. I mean, it only makes sense. It's a very viable brand and show, and it's got a built-in audience all across the world. So there's no reason not to revive it. And it's like any show that you bring back. You just gotta be careful. You gotta find a way to do it. Sorry for the noise. You gotta find a way to do it that still stays really true to what the heart and soul of the show was originally, but is still somehow original.
Well, I'll tell you, I do an audio series. I don't know if you know that when I tweet I don't even know who I'm tweeting under a lot of times, if it's myself or one of the podcasts or the audio series. But I do an audio series called MacGyver SG-1, and it basically Jack and MacGyver find out they're twins.
Okay.
And that way I get to do stories in between the SG-1 episodes all the way up to present day. Right. And one of the things I want to do when I organically get there is find a way to bring Jonas back.
Oh, dude. Hell yes.
Right? I mean, at least
I'm trying to figure out the same thing.
Do you have a favorite episode per se of doing that?
I mean, there was a couple of favorite episodes. I think that one of them. Sorry, I'm opening up the bag of dog food here.
That's okay.
Gotta get. Yeshua's over here panicking behind me. He's like, I'm never gonna eat again. This is hell.
Hey, wait a minute! I just had this for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I tend to throw a little some egg into his dinner. I do. I crack a couple of raw eggs into a bowl, add some hot water to it, mix it up real good, and then pour it on like a gravy.
Yeah, you're very good to your dogs.
He loves it. So I just gotta let that water heat up a little bit. Get a little fork action here. Do some scrambling.
Cooking
making
with Corin.
Dinner with Corin Nemec.
Yeah. Cooking with Corin. I already got the title.
Exactly. Oh, there we go. That's nice and hot. There we go. Warm that up for him.
That's
Scramble
nice.
a little bit more. Oh yeah, he'll be very happy with this.
I was gonna say, I hope the dog appreciates all the effort.
Add that to this. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. Are we still there? Yeah.
Yeah. We're good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There we go.
Oh, see,
Look at
that's
that
nice. You're doing much more than most people would for your dog.
He is. Look at that. Just loving it. Little tail wag. Oh yeah. Totally in business.
But you were saying about your favorite episodes.
Well, one called Shadow Play was one of my favorite ones. It was when we went into a small town that had been overrun with, with symbiotes or whatever, and so we got to leave the base for the first. I got to leave the base for the first time, and we were in civilian clothes and undercover, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then there was another one. I think it was called Redemption, but I can't. One sec. I can't remember exactly if that's the correct title or not. But there was one where there was a spaceship sunk under the down at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, and we had to get onto it. Oh
yeah, yes.
And it's filling up with water and all that, and just the set that they built for that to be able to create that, and just the whole episode was just so much fun.
Well, the rings, that was the episode where if you didn't love Jonas by that episode, you're out of your mind, because just the fact that Jonas went above and beyond, and the whole rings with the water, Descent, I believe was
so awesome.
Right? I don't know how they did that, but holy crap, that was amazing. That was such a great visual effect.
Mm-hmm.
Descent, I think, was the name of that one.
Oh, Descent. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that because I always say Stargate SG-1 episodes could be like a whole movie in 45 minutes. And that is a prime example where you're like, wow, so much has happened naturally and organically. Nothing ever felt rushed. And you're like,
yeah, that's what it felt like. It felt like working on a feature film. It felt like working on a movie.
Yeah. It also seemed to be the one where Jack started to finally like Jonas. Like Jonas had really proved himself to Jack.
Yeah, my second to last episode.
That was you're smiling through the whole thing. Your first time in a death glider, and he ends up spinning it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was awesome.
And when you were there was one where you were getting visions of the future because Near T had been experimenting, and so that played over into a whole new episode. That was epic too, because he saw the whole base getting destroyed, and nobody's believing.
Exactly.
Nobody's necessarily believing him right away. It all played out. I mean, you had some epic episodes.
Yeah, season 6 was out of control because they had a lot to prove as well, because they were just transferring from Showtime to Sci-Fi Channel. So they really had to come as big as possible with that season 6.
Yeah,
and we just did some episodes where the scale of the production was out of this world. The set they built, the storylines, and it was amazing to be a part of season 6.
God, yeah. I and then you wrote. Did you write the episode from season 7 that you were in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the final episode.
Yeah, as it was.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote the story for it, but then they wrote the scripted versions.
The script. Yeah, but still, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I like to written the script, but that's like, they want to keep all their ducks in a row over there and keep everything so they really don't buy many first draft scripts, but they buy stories because then they can keep all of the style of writing and everything the same, with their writing up there, which one of the best writing teams I've ever worked with in my life. The guys are amazing.
Yeah. I had Joe Malozzi on. He's a good guy to be friends with, and I'm going to have him on again. But yeah, he was telling me about their way of writing. Like they try obviously to get the voice of the character, but by the time he came on, he was saying that like they'd go, okay, what if, and they would start like an episode like that. What if SG-1 had superpowers? And then they find a way to make that work. But it never felt forced. It always felt like, okay, this is like the Prometheus premiered in your season. Sorry.
Exactly.
And they had been planting that seed for like 2 seasons before. That's smart to think ahead that far. With hoping that you have the luxury to pay it off, I guess. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But here, yeah, I know. No, you're good. Here's a question: whose idea was it to do the hair swoop in your episode?
Well, that final season, my hair had grown out so much since the last episode I did, and my agents didn't want me to cut my hair in the military cut, and again because they were just concerned about me being able to play a bunch of different variations of characters.
Mm-hmm.
So they just suggested that I didn't that I didn't cut my hair.
That's just how they do it on that planet. That's the hip kids thing on that planet.
Well, when they put me in the wardrobe, I was in this. It was kind of like Logan's Run. It was like the outfit from Logan's Run, the original. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Late '60s Logan's Run. And I was looking at it, and I was like, it's kind of got a weird '60s vibe to it,
Mm-hmm.
And so I just ended up doing that. And then the girl that they had that was from my planet as well, she just accidentally had the exact same haircut.
Really?
So it sort of worked.
I thought that was all planned.
No, it just worked out that way. It's hilarious.
Yeah. It's a great episode too. My only thing was like, okay, good. There he is. At the end of that, bring him back. Let's get him.
Loved it.
I know, man. I know. But again, we don't. Hopefully in the future they'll realize that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, God knows I'm doing my part to try and spread the word, and anybody who's into Stargate, we're all kind of like, we did a tweet storm. I don't know if you were part of this. I had Joe Malozzi on, and we it was the day before. It was to let MGM know, hey, we want an in continuity continuation of the story. It could be a new series, or it could be back to SG-1 or whatever. But the door is wide open. Everybody's willing to come back. Let's, so it was tweeting between here and Europe. It was trending, I guess, is the
trending. Yeah.
So we did all that for 2 days.
Yeah.
Nothing. MGM didn't acknowledge it, didn't comment on it.
Wow.
So we're like, last thing we heard, Brad Wright was talking to them to see, where are we at? Can we do this? I
just always thought it'd be cool if they just did like Stargate SG-7 or Stargate SG-10 or whatever. Just do a different Stargate team that's happening the same time that SG-1 is out there. And you can end up bringing characters from SG-1 kind of in and out in guest spot roles or walk-ons or whatever, and then just do what another team is up to.
That is perfect. That way you're not trampling on any of the history. You're not messing up the wires or whatever, and it's your own thing.
Exactly.
And I'm not alone with this, but we always thought Jonas could be on one of those teams.
Oh, easily, because if they picked up now in present time, you say it's this many years later, and Jonas is back on Earth, and they put him in, his own team or part of a new unit, since he already has had experience with it in the past,
Exactly. And he had the what was it, the great memory. He could remember everything, So there you go. It's a walking encyclopedia. Like, I'm telling you, man, if you get a chance to write another episode of this, I hope you use it. Because you're like, so here's my pitch. Jonas, back on Earth. part of the team. Let's go. You guys can write it.
I love it.
Right?
I'm on board.
I know.
We're going to have to tweet Pelosi immediately.
Oh, no, I will. I'll tag him in this like I always do. He's a good guy. Do you still
love it? Love it.
Still do the graffiti art?
Oh yeah. I have. If it wasn't so dark out, I'd show you my backyard because I built graffiti walls back there that I can paint. Because when I'm out here in the country basically, and there's nowhere for me to paint,
Right.
Except my own backyard. But when I travel and stuff, when I get around and travel a bit, I get to still paint. Like when I'm out in Los Angeles, I paint with my old buddies there. Sometimes when I travel around, especially Australia, and I paint in different parts of Europe as well. So
yeah, well that's cool. Yeah, because I remember you posted stuff, and I thought, man, I hope that's not like under a highway or something, because he could get in trouble. No,
everything now is sanctioned. It's legal. I'm painting legal spots, and it's nothing like that. Yeah.
How did you get into that?
I did love doing that. That was a great fun. Great fun when I was young.
How did you get into it?
Mainly I was into the whole, hip hop breakdancing scene when I was really young, when I was like 9-10 years old, and the art form of the breakdancing scene was graffiti art, and I was an artist as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already drawing from a very young age, and I just kind of gravitated towards that style of art because it was also very comic bookish and cartoonish, and it was just right up my alley. So when I moved to Los Angeles from Atlanta, Georgia, I just ended up meeting some cats that were in school with me in North Hollywood that were really heavy into the graffiti scene, and I saw like the level of art that they were doing as graffiti artists, and it was way above what I had learned how to do in Atlanta. And I just got really into it, made some good friends, and just started getting into that scene, going out, painting, and and at that time, pretty much almost everything I was doing was illegal in terms of graffiti art, because there wasn't a lot of places where you could paint legally,
Yeah.
Back then. There were some places, there were some graffiti yards that were, where people had given permission, to paint their back alley wall or whatever. And sorry, I gotta get this.
It's all right.
If I'm one of those people like I just cook steaks on the grill there, and if I don't get all of this stuff off the grill immediately, I panic because it's going to be all difficult and hard to do a day later.
I'm with you. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, if you do it right away, everything comes off really, really easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I try and remind my wife about that. Clean up right away, and then you don't have to worry about it. Otherwise, you're right. Then it gets more difficult.
Oh yeah, because I hate coming down in the morning, and if there's dishes from the night before, there's that's the worst thing. Is because I don't have a dish. I don't like having a dishwasher out here. So because it's just me and my son for the most part,
Sure.
So I'm never really doing a whole hell of a lot anyway, but it's I'm the same way. It's like I gotta have at the end of each meal, gotta do the dishes. When I make breakfast in the morning before we leave the house, all the dishes are done. So when I get home in the evening, everything is all ready to go for dinner.
I'm with you. Like, why put off something? Just get it done and move on with your life. I tell the kids that too. With chores, with homework, with whatever. If you have something you have to do, get it done and move on.
Yeah, get it done early, and then you have so much more freedom.
Exactly. Yeah. Because, and also you never know what's going to happen. You're going to be surprised, and you're going to have guests over or whatever, and now you don't have the time you thought you had. And yeah. How was
I hardly ever have any guests over besides when my ex-wife pops in, like earlier.
Yeah.
Or my son or my daughter, but mostly I don't really know too many people down here. A guy that I do some construction work with in between jobs, just to keep busy and keep myself from going crazy with, you know what I mean, between jobs. but he's great. His name is Steve McQueen, and he actually, the house that I live in now, he did all the renovations on it. It's a 1963 kind of like a Pennsylvania, coal miner's house. Got a really high pitched roof, and it's almost shotgun shack style, where it's just everything is like straight through the house, and but it had been redone a few times, like maybe had to be like maybe in the early 70s. I think some stuff had been done to it. Then in the late 80s, and then so it had lost all of its original charm and character. So we did we did a lot of work to get it back to a real fun kind of farmhouse feel to it.
Yeah, well, that window right there, the window that you were calling up to your son, I'm like, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, that goes in there. You can see into the living room from there. And that's where the stairs are. So really, I did this because it helps with the circulation of air through the house.
Oh, okay.
As I'm the short order cook for my son.
Yeah.
It becomes a shelf that I can place food on and different stuff for him. And then he doesn't have to come all the way downstairs, all the way through the living room, down the little hall, and into the kitchen to get something. He just comes halfway down the stairs, and it's right there for him.
That's a pretty good life.
Then the best thing I have is that this is a laundry chute right here.
Oh,
Laundry chute.
I love that.
Yeah, it goes up. So there's no more like laundry baskets or any of that crap or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everything goes straight into the laundry chute, and then my laundry is literally right across from it.
Oh, perfect. Oh yeah. Oh, and you have even a door that covers it.
Yes, yeah, I do. I got like the doors down here because it's such a tight space.
Yeah.
Everything is done on sliders like that. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's fun. My first house, we had a laundry chute because it was one of those. Again, being in Pennsylvania, this was a house that was so small the mice were hunchback. You know what I mean? You put your key in the door and it breaks the window. Well. It was a fixer-upper kind of. My wife and I had it, like our starter home, and it had a laundry chute. That was great, just like that. And it saves so much time. And one of my favorite things, if you're a guy, you'll understand, a drain in the basement. In the floor of the basement. Oh, that's, give me that, and I don't have to worry about flooding at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where I'm at in the Houston area, it's, there's no basements, it will be flooded. There's just no two ways about it. You can put a drain and a pump down there. It doesn't matter. The right amount of rain, that thing is going to be filled to the top.
Well, listen, I would love to keep talking to you, but I don't want to be greedy.
We gotta have a reason. We gotta have a reason to do it again.
Well, I do want to do that.
Yeah, and again, also, just to refresh everybody's memory, don't forget to watch Rottentail. You can go to rottentailthemovie.com. You can go to Source Point Press on which is SORCEPTPRESS at Twitter. A lot of information you can find there, and also at Twitter. You can go to Rottentail the Film on Twitter as well and catch up, or you can come to my page. I am Corin Nemec. You can also follow me the same address on Instagram and check out what's going on with Rottentail and other things coming up in the future as well. Besides Rottentail, I have a really cool film that was written and directed by a well-known photographer named Van Dit Thong, and this is his first foray into the film business. So he wrote a script called Sleeping in Plastic, which is a really, really gritty indie film, kind of action drama, not really action, more like thriller drama type of deal about a really, really small town in Texas that where there's this kind of like network of drug dealers and stuff that is, that these young teenagers get caught up in. And I'm this really kind of gnarly, hilarious redneck drug dealer. And that's going to be awesome, called Sleeping in Plastic. I think he's going to do the film festival circuit with that. It's definitely, worthy of all of the film festivals. It'll play really well at any of the film festivals for sure, whether it's Sundance or Toronto or the one in New York. It wouldn't matter if it was Cannes even, it would still be it would still go over very well. It's just made exactly for that market. It's a great little film though, and looking forward to that coming out. And we'll see what happens with the Rottentail 2. I know there's already talk about it because just the amount of traction that we've had from this one has been incredible. I mean, there's just the response already has been absolutely mind blowing for such a small film at such a small budget with almost zero ability to do any kind of publicity. It's just been all grassroots for the most part, and we've been getting a great response. The premiere in LA went really well. You can always tell how well a premiere goes. There was a lot of laughter in the movie theater, and it's a Hollywood crowd, which the Hollywood crowds are almost impossible to keep entertained.
Sure.
And they're very critical, and so all the laughs came at the right place at the right time. But how you know that your film did well is everybody stays for the after party. If your film didn't play very well on the screen, everybody will make excuses like why they can't stay for the after party, go to the after party, because nobody wants to sit there and blow smoke up people's asses about like, oh, yo, it was so good, I just can't. So like, no, I got to get out of here so I don't get put in that awkward position. So when the movie ended, the after party was packed full of everybody that was in the theater, and that was like, that's when I knew, oh, we definitely have something here because people are staying for the after party.
See, that is cool. I know exactly what you're talking about too, because you're right. I have to go wash my hair. There's something else I got to do.
Yeah, because the last thing they want is one of the filmmakers or actors or anybody else in the movie, when they know that the movie was like crap or something, to go, well, so what'd you think?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, it's like, well, it was, it was a movie.
The lighting was good.
Yeah, I'm an hour and 45 minutes older than I was when I went in. So
the credits were nice. I like the end credits. Those really
Yeah. They were faster than usual, which I really appreciate. Yeah, it's so silly.
It's funny too, because as we're talking, I'm like, I looked at the time, I'm like, oh darn it. I'll definitely have you back. We'll talk. I want to talk about
when something else is coming up, I'll just let you know when there's some other stuff happening, some newsworthy, and we'll do another follow-up, or anytime you want to, we can set something up. Sorry it took so long, but greatness takes time, and this interview is the epitome of online greatness. So
yeah, and it's a tribute to your day. It's a tribute to your tenacity too, so I appreciate it. You know what I mean? I'll gladly wait until you have time to eat a nice flank steak and shoot the bull with me. All right. Good, brother. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to actually finally get to do this, and I look forward to the next time.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, thank you. I'll talk to you later. Bye. The MacGyver Podcast is part of the Forever Adventure Network. Some original artwork by Joseph Arnold. Donations can be made at Patreon to Mac Jackson. Look for our group pages on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at MacGyver Podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review. And remember, stay creative, everyone.